On the United States from the Wingate Institute. Good evening from Israel. Good afternoon to you in the United States. Anish Shroff alongside Quint Kesnick. We'll hear from Chris Cotter, Marav Severe, and Paul Carcaterra as well. Full broadcast. This is the game of this event.
Well, this is the one everyone looks for. Now, this is only pool play. It could be a taste of what's to come, but these two teams have dominated the World Championships going back to the inception.
For the U.S., they are down one player. They lost their backup goalie in this event, Jack Kelly, so it's all on John Galloway now.
Yeah, there's a 23-man roster, and you only have two goalies who are active. So John Galloway now is their lone goalie for Team USA. Syracuse alum, won 59 games when he was a member of the Orange, including 2 NCAA titles. He's the head coach of Jacksonville University. Detail-oriented, he's into his routine. He never cuts corners.
Let's say hello to Paul Carcaterra down on the field. Paul.
Think of the greatest players in Canada lacrosse history. John Tavares is a name that pops up immediately. Jeff Teat, the young guy who's wearing 51 today for the Canadians, is Tavares 2.0. He has insanely quick wrists. He's able to spot feed these tremendous Canadian finishers with pinpoint accuracy. The precision on his passing is off the charts. Watch Teat's riffs. His ability to make a play out of nowhere is significant. I love the upside of this kid. He's one of the youngest kids on the team. 99 points this season for Cornell. His upside, though, might be the greatest of any Canadian lacrosse player.
13 points already in 2 games in these World Championships. We're ready for the opening face-off. Jake Withers, 18 in red for Team Canada, against Trevor Baptiste for the United States. Canada in the red, the U.S. in the white. The opening face-off popped into the air, and it goes out of bounds. It will be U.S. ball to start things off. Both of these teams 2-0. Neither has really been tested. Canada got a brief scare from England. The Iroquois team hung with the U.S. for a half before running out of gas. So this will be really the first true 80-minute test for both of these teams. And it's 80 minutes because we have 4 20-minute quarters running time. Tom Schreiber now for the United States. A standout at Princeton. Moves it to the great Paul Rabel. And now Jordan Wolf, the Duke star, from behind the cage. Wolf plays it up top to Matt Danowski. Blue Devil to Blue Devil. And Danowski shoots wide. Rabel there to back up. Paul Rabel, the face of lacrosse, gets the pick from Rob Pinnell. Now Matt Danowski, former Tewaaraton Award winner. It's the Heisman of lacrosse. Happened back in 2007, one of the elder statesmen on this team. Here is Pinnell, RP3, the quarterback of this U.S. offense. Pinnell looking for Ryan Brown. Instead, it's over the restraining line, and Rabel will retrieve. In the international game, there is no shot clock, but there is a stall warning. So if a stall warning is called, you have to keep it in the attack box. Pinnell draws the slide. Here's Rabel. Hot shot bouncer too high, and Wolf there for the backup.
International lacrosse features long possession time. It's taxing for the defense. Fatigue breaks down your defensive integrity, also impacts your communication skills.
Wolf over to Pinnell. Shaded by Tyson Bell. Pinnell gets a step and scores.
Extended possession of more than 2 minutes in time, and the weakness of this Canadian defense are their midfield defenders. Tyson Bell, Rylan Reese, Matt Gilray, Latrell Harris. They're all first time to this championship. They're young, they're new faces. USA earned enough switches to where Pinnell had the short stick. That's not the answer for Canada. He's going to dice and slice up that matchup.
It's hard enough when teams defend Pinnell with their top cover guy. He will feast on an inexperienced shorty like Bell, who's actually the youngest kid on this Canadian team. It's not Jeff Teat, it's not Trey LeClaire, it's Tyson Bell.
Off the face-off violation, we get our first look at this Canadian offense. Mark Matthews controlling, 42 in red. And now Jeff Teat, who Clark highlighted in the open. Teat, a rising junior at Cornell. Got the Big Red to the quarterfinals this past season where they lost to Maryland. But a big improvement from 2017.
Canadian offense, a little more east-west in nature. They like to attack from the wings with two-man games. The Americans typically attack from up top of the box or from X straight behind.
Josh Byrne, MLL Rookie of the Year last year. Michael Earhart dropped his stick for the U.S. and Galloway with the first save off the shot from Wesley Berg. Clark, one of the differences we'll see here, field lacrosse backgrounds for the U.S. players, box lacrosse backgrounds for a lot of the Canadian players. Explain the differences.
Yeah, the biggest difference is the half-field sets for the Canadians. They will use basketball-like pick and rolls because they're accustomed to playing in tight quarters. The U.S. will try to spread the field, play a little more full-field lacrosse, but you mentioned earlier the international rules don't really allow that up-and-down nature that the United States team would love to have. But the Canadian stick skills and their finishing ability because of those tight quarters, it's nuts how good these guys are when they can catch a ball in tight. Finishing on a goalie, never a problem.
Canada has won the gold in 2 of the last 3 World Championships. Here's Wolf, has his man hung up. Wolf turns, hits the pipe. And it's picked up by the great Brody Merrill, 17 in red. Will turn 37 in November, a living legend.
Playing in his 4th World Championship. Graduated from Georgetown, was a Tewaaraton finalist. He has been a mainstay in the National Lacrosse League, that's the indoor league, and Major League Lacrosse. Founder of the Hill Academy, which is a school that specializes in lacrosse in Canada. They've got 5 or 6 graduates on this Canadian national team. So his legacy will be through those players who he now has educated.
Hill Academy has been a feeding factory for NCAA coaches as well in the States.
Tremendous. It's like Oak Hill in basketball, except it's a boarding school that the Canadians all flock to because of the influence of Brody Merrill, who not only teaches his guys what to do on the field, but off the field and prepares them for college life academics.
Jeff Teat to Jeremy Noble, 2 products of the Hill Academy. And Galloway able to get in the way of that one. Through traffic, Curtis Dixon, who might have the best mustache in the field.
Tell you, I don't like that matchup for Team USA. Curtis Dixon is a strong, right-handed force from that low corner out of Delaware, all-time leading scorer last year, in 14 in the World Games. And Joe Fletcher's not built to stop him, 17 in white. So that was a dangerous matchup for the USA. Galloway is on point to start things off.
Here comes Paul Rabel. Now Tom Schreiber, a 2-time MLL MVP. Pennell, he's got the goal for the U.S.
Hossack's Canada's best defender, 4 in red, the lefty.
Hossack staying with Pennell. Graham Hossack, one of the best defenders in the NLL as well. Schreiber retrieves for the U.S.
See the size of Hossack?
We've got a broken stick
on him.
That was from a cross-check. Tyson Bell out of St. Catharines, played at OCC, getting out of there in 2015, now plays for the Calgary Roughnecks. He cross-checked Rabel after that shot, and his stick bent in half.
Paul Rabel, the MLL's all-time leading scorer. Ton of following on social media. An investor. He's got his Suiting Up podcast. The lacrosse renaissance man.
Hasn't had that explosive first step that we've seen from him over the past decade. Playing a little bit different type of game here. More of a distributor.
Matinowski guarded by Latrell Harris, rising sophomore at Brock. That's a school up in Canada. And Harris comes away with it. Big check by Pinnell on the ride, and the U.S. gets it back. Dylan Ward in goal for Canada. MVP of the 2014 games. Rabel changing direction. On a hop to Schreiber.
Dylan Ward, 27-year-old right-hander out of Bellarmine.
Also played for Brody Merrill. Rabel stays with it, fighting through a double. Now it's jarred loose. Taken away by Team Canada and Jason Noble. Noble, another Hill Academy product. Here's Team. Feeding goal line extended. And now Matthews will slow things up as Canada goes into its half-field set.
Yeah, they can push. And Teed will find you if you're open, 51 in red. So far on the two-man games, Canada's pick-and-roll offense, the USA is switching on all picks. They're not really concerned about matchups.
Here's Mark Cockerton, guarded by Kevin Unterstein. Cockerton played at Virginia, isolating the shorty. Cockerton gets to the middle of the field, shoots. Shot was deflected, it's loose in front. And out of the carnage, the U.S. comes away with it. Jesse Bernhardt, the former Maryland star. Americans unable to clear. Bernhardt has it, and now into the cross of Galloway, who throws one of the best outlet passes by a goalie we have seen in this sport.
Always on target. If you're a young goalie, watch his technique. His feet are impeccably placed. He uses the full stick. It's always straight overhand, and his eyes are up scanning the field.
No clearing clock in the international game as Tucker Durkin brings it up for the U.S.
Yeah, so far I haven't loved Canada's offensive possessions in each. They've taken some maybe shots, you know, not their typical hammered home from 10 yards or in. And that's gotten Galloway into a pretty good rhythm thus far.
What do they need to do?
Maybe make an extra pass and not settle. You know, I always think your first 3 shots of a ball game are super critical. And Galloway's had many touches. He's got to feel great right now.
John Hawes along with Ned Crotty and Drew Snyder, the midfield for the U.S. Here is Snyder, played at Maryland. Younger brother Will plays for the Terps. Snyder picked up by Brody Merrill.
It's a good rollback, but Merrill anticipated it and doubled quickly.
Now Pinnell. Over to Crotty. Ryan Brown. Yikes. That one hit the side of the goal, hit the crossbar.
If you're a Canadian defender, you have got to find 4 in white on the perimeter. Ryan Brown has heat from the outside.
Goal's a little harder to come by for these two in the early going. 1-0 Americans. Who's going to lend some insight into where we are.
Anish, you've mentioned the word Netanya so many times over the last couple of days, but it's not one of the well-known cities in Israel, so where exactly are we? Netanya is a very small city, and especially in U.S. standards, only home to about 200,000 people. It sits on the shores of the Mediterranean. You've seen the views from our hotel. We've shown them over the last couple of days, absolutely gorgeous. It's home to surfing competitions and beach soccer, and it's just about 90 miles up the road from Tel Aviv and an hour's drive from Jerusalem, a city with so much history that many of the teams toured over the last few days. We'll share more about their trips later in this game. But as a whole, Israel is an incredibly small country in the Middle East. Without traffic, you can drive across it in just a matter of hours. But guys, you've experienced the traffic. It's pretty much constant. Israel
is about the size of New Jersey, and like New Jersey, you cannot navigate this part of the world without traffic.
They got fast drivers like Kark.
By the way, Kark made the smart call this time. He did not rent a car. He hasn't driven. You actually thought about renting a car.
I did not rent a car.
But you thought about it, you booked a rental.
The coolest thing so far about our trip, we're right on the ocean, our hotel. Beautiful pool, and Nisha's working on his swimming lessons.
Kick saved that down by Ward off the shot from John Hawes. I should also mention, this game being played on a Sunday. Sunday is the start of the work week here in Israel. They're off Friday, Saturday. That's their weekend. Sunday, everybody goes back to work, so you encounter normal traffic on a Sunday here.
As far as I know, like every day's a game day. That's how I'm treating it.
Well, we're working every day, but at least most days.
Tell you, field level, this is about as physical as it gets. You saw Rabel harassed by the Canadian defense. I feel like the Canadian defense right now is challenging the American team in terms of physicality. And Coach John Danowski in the last huddle recognizes that too. He knows they're going to come at him physical. Got to run the offense, keep it spread. The speed is a favor
12
of
in red,
the U.S.
known for his physicality, Trey LeClaire Kark from Ohio State.
He doesn't use his speed with his feet. 12 in red uses his speed with his shot. He can let it fly over 100 miles an hour. And if you combine him with guys like Kevin Crowley, 21, and Jeff Teat, who can distribute the ball, if he has time and room, he's deadly.
Who can draw a slide, though? Who on this Canadian team can beat their man and get the double team coming?
Jeremy Noble, a three-time All-American at Denver.
U.S. switching on picks, handling these matchups.
Here comes Teat. Now LeClaire. Grew up playing rugby. You'll hear a lot of whistles that don't pertain to our game because they're coming from adjacent fields. And a turnover by Team Canada.
Great defense by Team USA. They're switching on all their picks, so they're changing the matchups. But at the end of the day, nobody on that midfield line for Canada is fast enough to run by an American defender.
I should also mention, when we arrived in the press box, there were two notes on yellow pad paper that said, please announce somebody has lost their keys to a Chevrolet. And about 5 minutes ago, somebody handed me a third note. So I don't know if you can see this or watch this, but if you're missing the keys to your Chevrolet, you might want to let somebody know. Might be Quince Renthal. I don't know. Matt Danowski a little too high. Paul Rabel matched up on Tyson Bell. Now Danowski against Latrell Harris. Over to Schreiber, picked up by Brody Merrill. Merrill is standout at Georgetown. Won 4 straight MLL Defensive Player of the Year awards at one point. As Rabel looking for a goal, missing wide. Rob Pennell there for the backup.
United States having the same problem that Canada did. That they can't get inside. The ball carrier is being guarded efficiently. They're not using a pick and roll game. I like the matchups with Pennell and Wolf from behind the goal. They're the two quickest and strongest dodgers on this USA team.
Pennell against Jason Noble. Now a shot, that one turned away. Ryan Brown. You mentioned it the first time we saw Team USA play, Quint, against the Iroquois. If Ryan Brown is eating, that means this U.S. offense is clicking.
And right now, he's not getting enough quality looks on the inside.
Rabel. Turned away by Ward again. There comes Harris off the rebound. Transition opportunity.
He's got a trailer.
Matthews. Shot is saved. That one off the cross of Ryland Reese, who scored 6 goals for Stony Brook last year as a junior.
Sharp save by Galloway. Sitting back on his line.
Wolf using that great speed. Jordan Wolf scores. In the international game, you can land in the crease.
Speed kills.
There's a flag down as well.
The speed of Jordan Wolf, as the referees discuss this penalty. is ridiculous. When this guy gets going, it starts with a Galloway save on the other end. The beautiful outlet. Understands how to trigger transition. It's all Hartzell. Kyle Hartzell, 81 in white. The one-man clear, and you give it to 31 in white, who has the Jets. And this is a matchup with Noble, who's got the quickest feet on the Canadian national team. It doesn't matter with Jordan Wolf. He's the fastest guy on this field, and I don't think it's close.
I mean, when you have a Wolf and Pinnell combination, that's going to stress any defense.
Flag waved off. Greg Gurenlian wins the face-off for the U.S. Now turns it over. And the Canadians get it back. Curtis Dixon, all-time leading goal scorer at Delaware.
How do you stack that, Kark? Is that a USA 1 face-off?
Look, this is going to be a battle at the face-off X, and they went with the two KG vets, and these guys are going to be jawing all evening long. What about Snyder? I mean, this guy's not going to back down from anyone, Quinn.
Yeah, I think they're going to kind of mix and match tonight, setting up a potential rematch, whether it's in the semifinals or finals.
Yeah, I agree.
Later
I don't
in the
think
week.
they're going to show a ton of anything because of the potential Saturday rematch, but watch Snyder in 18 in red. He's going to jaw. He's going to set aggressive picks.
He just did.
I tell you, that was a great pick he set. Gurenlian was shielded from switching off his man, and it led to a scoring opportunity.
There is a flag down. And they'll get Gurenlian. So Canada will go man up.
Snyder is a much better all-around field player than Greg Gurenlian, and he used that to his advantage there. He sealed off Gurenlian and created just an alley and a lane for a strong Canadian scoring chance.
Kark was hanging out with Snyder at our hotel yesterday, last night. You guys were comparing war wounds.
Look, he's jacked. I mean, Gurenlian and Snyder could be bodybuilders. He was enormous in terms of his strength and his physique. Told me cut all the carbs, eats a ribeye steak and Brussels sprouts for dinner most nights.
I like Cotter.
Canada turns it over on the extra man, and now Galloway to set up the clear.
Michael Earhart, 28 in white, air traffic control here in Netanya. Earhart's had a very strong tournament so far.
Back to even strength. Marcus Holman over to Pinnell. Ryan Brown steps into one with the left hand. And now Rob Pinnell saying settle things down.
Earth to Canada. Four has got an absolute hammer. He's going to let it fly. You've got to find him on the perimeter and cut off his real estate. Potential zone defense right now from Team Canada in red.
How does the U.S. attack here, Kark?
I think you'll hold for about the final 20 seconds. You're in a zone here. Wow. This game is physical. And Brody Merrill just got a slash. He's asking why. I mean, really? Watch Brown, though. He's the zone buster, Quint mentioned, with both hands. 4 in white. Can absolutely let it fly with his left and his right. Multiple release points.
And the reason they blew the whistle on the delayed penalty, the U.S. was not attacking the net. If the officials feel on a penalty, you're not trying to score a goal, they'll blow the whistle, they'll get to the penalty, and they'll start the extra man. That's what's happening here. International rules. So Brody Merrill in the box. The U.S. will go man up. Running clock here. Final seconds of this first quarter. And the U.S. will take a 2-0 lead to quarter number 2. They'll begin the second quarter with the extra man. We are in Netanya, Israel. On the east coast of Israel, you find the Dead Sea.
Go to trustedchoice.com to find a local agent today. Quorum Watches, official timekeeper of the 2018 World Lacrosse Championship. And Epic Lacrosse, the official equipment supplier of the 2018 FIL World Championship.
Connor and Clark down here on the field. Clark 2-0 lead for Team USA as we head into the second quarter. Man, the intensity down here, you can feel it. This is not like many lacrosse games when you're down here on the sideline.
No, it's crazy. I don't think either team wants to show all their cards in this matchup. Intensity is ridiculous right now. And also the jawing. You got guys like Jeff Snyder chirping with Greg Gorenly, and he just went after John Galloway on his way out of the cage, too. So I don't think these teams like each other, but I also don't think either team has played their brand of lacrosse. We haven't seen the U.S. team get up and down and use their full field transition. The Canadian team not making those extra passes, becoming a little bit one-dimensional. How about for you in that first quarter?
I thought John Galloway was outstanding. 4 saves. He was good when he needed to be, and it's a 2-0 lead right now for Team USA. Anish, Quint, you guys take over.
Fellas, thank you. The U.S. man up. No face-off to begin the second quarter. Paul Rabel up top to Schreiber. Now Ryan Brown. Marcus Holman, part of the extra man unit, 1 in white. Schreiber to Holman. It's off his stick. Pennell's going to chase it down. Rabel over to Schreiber. Brown on the wing. Shot was altered. It goes out of bounds. It will stay with the U.S.
Terrific defensive play by Jeremy Noble, 45 in red. Orangeville, Ontario native. Excuse me, Jason Noble out of Cornell.
Rabel, skip pass. Brown again. Bouncer and saved by Ward. 6 saves already for Dylan Ward. Outlet to Matt Gilray. Out of Bucknell. Now Ryland Reese, a threat to score. Outlet to Dixon. Transition opportunity, and Canada is on the board. Curtis Dixon, the first tally for the Canadians.
Their contingent loves it. Starts with a save and an aggressive outlet. And I pointed out earlier, this is a bad matchup for Team USA. Joe Fletcher, 17 in white, coming off a knee injury. You see the wrap. Curtis Dixon's got too much power and change of direction for Joe Fletcher to handle. Dixon can have a big day today. Delaware, British Columbia, he has been a staple of this Team Canada.
The hitch down towards behind the cage. Bananas back out in the quick wrists of Dixon, and he's in our hotel. I've seen him every day. This guy is well put together and has a crazy right-handed shot because of his wrist. It's just a snap of the wrist. He doesn't cock back like Ryan Brown. It's just a quick little trigger.
I think he's got the best mustache in this tournament.
No question. I saw him on the elevator today, and I said, how long have you been growing that out? He said, I've had a mustache forever. He's had it since the 2014 games.
Well-trimmed, bright red. Team colors. Always a plus.
Just saw Gorenly and Snyder again at the face-off fence. 2 grizzled veterans at the top. 2 of the best at their craft.
Snyder's a tough guy, and he's come here on a mission today to get inside the heads of this Team USA. He came off the bus chirping, and that has continued.
Rabel runs through his man. Now Matt Danowski firing low, turned away by Ward again. 7 saves for Dylan Ward as Wolf tiptoes the sideline. He's got Danowski. Danowski on the inside scores. The Duke combination, and we get a flag at the end of the play.
Canada's mission here is to physically try to beat up the U.S. The U.S. has to keep their cool, cannot retaliate. I mean, you look at how late that hit is.
55, Courier right there.
No-brainer. That is a late hit in the box, no-brainer. But Matt Danowski, I think he's a gel guy on this team. He's an assistant coach at Duke for his father, John Danowski. Always in the right spot at the right time. He gets this offense. He gets the progressions of the offense as well as anyone in white.
He's had a great year for the Chesapeake Bayhawks. Long-time assistant coach now at Duke. We call him Coach 40. He's matured. I think he's playing for others. You see that hustle play by Jordan Wolf leads to the Danowski goal.
And there's John Danowski, Matt's dad, head coach for Team USA. U.S. man up after the goal because of the penalty. All penalties are non-releasable in international play. Rabel to Holman. Holman stings the back of the net. And it's 4-1, the United States on top.
It's critical that if Canada plays a physical game, if they're trying to rough up the Americans, that Team USA strikes with the extra man. This is a situation on this low right corner where there's just too much greenery, too much real estate. Your bearings defensively are called and controlled by the goalie, Anish. So I'm saying, push out, step back, step back. So I'm directing traffic as a goaltender to what I'm comfortable with. But Holman just grips it and rips it from 8 yards.
Wow. You look at Holman. We've watched this kid since he was in high school. I think muscle memory puts that ball in the corner. I've seen that shot a zillion times, and I know how hard he trains as a shooter. He had 11 goals in a game, Major League Lacrosse, Ohio Machine against the New York Lizards this year.
Snyder won the face-off. Canada was facing off 5-on-6. Back to even strength. Snyder to Reese. The going top shelf. Ryland Reese, he's got a dozen goals in 3 seasons at Stony Brook, and he makes it a 4-2 game.
Are you kidding me with this heat? You give a 6-foot pole time, room, and a giddy-up. This thing is slinging, and Galloway has 0 shot. Can't track that release, can't match that speed.
Reese from Snyder, face-off transition. Ryland Reese has been involved with both Canadian goals in transition.
Q, what if I told you the 2 goals for Canada, one assisted by Reese, the other by Snyder, and it's to Reese. Not the way you would have drawn it up for Team Canada before the game.
But no, they can run. For whatever reason, the U.S. is paranoid of getting in an up-tempo game. For the last month, John Danowski saying, well, it's going to be a slow-down game. We're going to have to beat them in half field. So his focus has been to get his systems razor sharp in half-field sets.
The trail check by Baptiste gives USA the ball.
And in doing so, I believe that the U.S. is forfeiting one of their advantages or strengths in this game, which is overall team speed.
Now, are you surprised, Cart? Canada running as much as they have?
Yeah, to be quite honest with you, I am. But that's where the opportunities are in this game, and I think it's smart that they're taking them. They're more athletic with some of their poles than people realize. Ryland Reese, Matt Gilroy had Bucknell in a spot Bucknell hasn't been in a while. He was an elite-type defender at the college Division I ranks this season. So they have some athletes in the middle of the field. I just don't know if they want to gas themselves, show the opposition in the U.S. too much in this first contest.
Rob Pinnell now behind the cage. You wonder if Brody Merrill still has a transition goal left in him.
This is where I love seeing the ball for Team USA. Make these Canadian defenders in front of the goal play with their head on a swivel. They're not used to that from the indoor game. That's different for them.
Pinnell just waiting and probing, finds Ryan Brown. The patience of Pinnell pays off.
Well-timed cut by the Hopkins alum Ryan Brown. And man, Pinnell was cool back there. He was taking his time. And without a shot clock, the offense has the power in that equation. And I'll say it again. The more the ball is behind the goal for Team USA, in the cross of Jordan Wolf, in the stick of Rob Pinnell, the better they'll do in this matchup.
On the sideline, I hear the Canadian staff complaining after that goal that there was interference in the crease area, moving picks. We saw the tail end of it, but there was a lot of activity. But the Canadian defenders, typically, their strength is to adjust to those type of picks because of the indoor box game.
Jake Withers now battling against Greg Gorenlian. Hunter Stein had it for the U.S. Lost his stick.
That is a hard-earned grounder. What a play. What a play.
He was getting hacked so hard, Kevin Understein.
Oh, from both sides.
Joel White on the doorstep off the feed from Tom Schreiber. No long pole scored more goals at Syracuse than Joel White, and he makes it 6-2 U.S.
That's a juice goal, Clark, for two reasons. Your grinder, Kevin Unterstein, digs one out. He's harassed. He's checked. And then a pole goal adds to the equation. All the momentum right now with the guys in white, Team USA.
You got to give it to Understein. We saw the tail end of him escaping that. I'm 10 yards from him. He was getting absolutely tattooed by the Canadian midfielders riding him out. Look at this, whack, whack. And Understein escapes with his speed and athleticism. Yeah, that's a goal that will lift you.
That's toughness. I mean, you talk about what's toughness in lacrosse, that's toughness. Scooping up a grounder, Anish, when I know that I'm going to exit with the ball and bruises on my elbows, my wrists, my forearms, and my shoulders.
Unterstein, a chiseled veteran, playing in his 11th MLL season. Played at Hofstra. He's an assistant coach there for Seth Tierney, who's on John Danowski's staff. Look at the Canada sideline. Head coach Randy Mearns, he'll take over at St. Bonaventure, which will launch a program at the Division I level next spring. Matt Brown, his offensive coordinator, who works with Bill Tierney over at Denver.
See, left side of your screen, there's Randy, former player for Team Canada. That's Taylor Ray, head coach of St. Joe's. He's the defensive coordinator. But they call Randy Mearns the Muffin Man, because right after college, took a job working at Tom Hortons. He was highly overqualified for the job, but it was an overnight shift, 11 p.m. in East to 7 a.m., just so he could continue to play lacrosse and to coach. Years later, he's been a longtime college coach, box coach, multiple times with Team Canada. He made the right decision to stay in lacrosse.
Garentlian against Jake Withers at the Face-Off X. Greg Garentlian, the co-founder of the Face-Off Academy, which produced, amongst others, Trevor Baptiste.
Watch how Withers, 81 in red, will try to look up here and watch the whistle and the eyes of the referee. Right, the last man. See right there?
Carl, what's different about face-off rules in these games?
Well, two big things. Garentlian gets tripped up. The sticks are separated a little bit more, so they're not on top of the ball as much before the whistle is blown by the ref. And secondly, after the escape, you can keep the ball in your cross, in your head, on the back end, where in college, you can't run around the field as a face-off guy after you win that face-off with the ball in the back of your stick. In international play, you can.
Team Canada's got to set better picks for the ball carrier.
Ben McIntosh now, played at Drexel, guarded by Will Hawes, the short stick. Over to Jeff Teat. Now Dixon, he's got one of the two goals for Canada, lowering that left shoulder. Draws the double. Dixon to the ground, flag is down. And a penalty coming against the United States.
That will be Tucker Durkin, 51, and white with a slash right on the head of Curtis Dixon.
It's an excellent call. No doubt about it. An opportunity for this Canadian offense to find some rhythm and flow with the power play.
White, 5-1/1. White, 1-2/1.
We take a hydration break with 9:40 to go here in quarter number 2. Canada has the extra man when we come back.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome back to Netanya, Israel, a country and region with thousands of years of history. This past week, many of the teams that arrived for the tournament, including the U.S. and Canada, toured Jerusalem in the Old City, getting a chance to visit the markets and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Team USA was so touched by the church, which is identified as the site of crucifixion and resurrection, that it was hard to get them to leave and spent twice as long in the church as planned. Others got a chance to ride camels in the old city, and players from both teams visited the Western Wall, leaving notes in the cracks as is tradition, and got to do some shopping in the markets. As I think is the case for many people, it was a truly moving experience overall, as it was for you guys just a couple days ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Our crew went there on Friday. That last shot that you saw was the panorama of the great city of Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives. You can see the old city. Shot to score, a man-up goal for Canada. Matthews finding McIntosh.
Don't foul Canada. Let me tell you, nobody has this crisp and accurate stick work like these young men. I mean, it's in and out of sticks so fast. One cradle and a pass. Snap, snap, snap. Turn and rake.
And I was in the huddle prior to that man-up play with Coach Matt Brown, the offensive coordinator. They wanted to score, call an immediate timeout, because one of the rule differences, guys, in international play, these penalties are not released, so they have plenty of time left on these penalties. They win the draw. They're up 2 still.
And right, that timeout, Paul, to your point, with a running clock, now you stop the clock, and again, you extend that man-up opportunity.
Yep, you're 6 on 4. That was the entire plan. He told his guys, we're going to score. We're going to score pretty quickly. And after we do, timeout, win the draw. We're still up 2, 6 on 4 again.
Canada right now, 3 goals on 7 shots. They haven't missed the net. Meanwhile, the U.S. has 15 shots.
Here is the championship format. The blue division has 6 seeded teams. Those are the top 6 teams from 2014. It's the uppermost division in these World Championships. It includes the 2 teams you're seeing today, U.S. and Canada, along with the Iroquois, Australia, England, and Scotland. You have 3 days of pool play. This is still pool play between Canada and the U.S. That'll determine ranked groups for the play-in games. Really, it's more so for the other groups, the non-blue groups. And then the semifinals come your way July 19th, the championship July 21st. We got a couple of days in between to make some excursions. We're going to head to the Dead Sea, as Marav was telling you guys, and we talked about it. We went to Jerusalem on Friday, got that cultural experience, and this whole event, this game aside, and maybe a game featuring these 2 against the Iroquois, outside of those games, lacrosse, I don't want to say become secondary because it's the World Lacrosse Championships, but it's so much more than what you see on the field, Quint.
We got a chance to watch Colombia and Belgium play. There's teams like Uganda competing here, 46 nations. And really, the North American nations, we are the shepherds. We are the ambassadors.
Here comes Snyder shooting too high.
And it's the responsibility of this Canadian national team, of Team USA, to interact, to teach, to spend time with, to pose for pictures. You know, we are the standard. The growth of this game depends on North Americans.
And they do, Quinn. Kevin Crowley was in our hotel. He spent time in Hong Kong. I watched Hong Kong play Germany today. They lost 12-4, but the last World Championship wasn't even close, 21-2.
Saved by Galloway on the shot from Matthews. The U.S. gets 1 player back. It's now 6 on 5 for Canada. I thought a great moment that Randy Burns told me about after Jamaica played. Jeff Snyder, the face-off man for Canada, went over to the Jamaican face-off men and said, hey, can I show you a few things? As we get another flag.
It's a flag on Josh Byrne, 30 seconds on the push, so extra man now. Was 6 on 4 in Canada's favor, now 6 on 5 for the Americans.
And that's my only, I don't know, my only regret about this event is that Team USA is staying off grounds, sequestered away from the other teams. And so those chance encounters are not going to happen for them. Yeah, I understand the goal is to win the gold trophy, but the secondary purpose is not being accomplished.
Ward turns away Ryan Brown, who got a good look. Ned Crotty now over to Pinnell. Schreiber That one hit the side of the net off the cross of Holman. Ward covers it up. To your points, Quint, we have Team Canada and the Iroquois staying at our hotel along with a number of other teams. You see Lyle Thompson roaming the hotel. How many times have we seen him stopped by players from other teams, fans, parents of players? Hey, Lyle, can I get a picture? Hey, Lyle, do you have a minute? Whether it's getting food, breakfast, lunch, you know, that's neat to see.
It's awesome to see. The Iroquois are beloved by everybody, the most popular team here. But from that conversation, then, hey, Lyle, you know, I run a camp in Venice every August. You have any interest in coming out?
Right.
Yeah, I'll come out and teach. And that's how the game grows. It's all about relationships. Those chance encounters, there's a solidarity. There's a common thread amongst nations. The willingness to help each other.
Jeremy Noble now for Canada. Crisp passing, Crowley to Teets, and Canada closes to within 2.
This is the type of passing that Canada wants. It's the two-away. It's the skip pass. So Crowley has a man adjacent. One away from that is Jeff Teet, the lefty sniper, entering his junior year at Cornell. 99 points on the season. He'll be a top 3 player in all of college lacrosse next year. He's got the low riser tonight.
Defensively, you go halfway against these Canadians, as Joel White 11 did, as he kind of showed towards Crowley, who stepped back. You're in no man's land. Good look by Crowley, and Teet can do a little bit of everything, man. He's a special player. He's got a little bit of savant in him, Manish. He's got an old man's brain and a young man's body.
We spent some time with his father, Dan, last night, who was at our hotel. Dan, a longtime player in the NLL, spent 14 years playing pro lacrosse.
Still coaches Jeff in the summer.
Yeah.
Up in Canada and Box, and said Jeff listens to every coach. He's so respectful, but doesn't listen to his old man when he coaches him.
He also said that Jeff, at 9 months, was up and running, and that he could tell by the age of 3 that he had a special hand-eye coordination with the lacrosse thing.
And he's got a 4-year-old brother who has that same type of coordination.
Here's Jordan Wolf against Jason Noble. Wolf, shot blocked. Latrell Harris, no angle that time for Dixon. His feet were leaving him as he took that shot, but Canada able to back up. Wesley Berg out of the box, McIntosh. Now Mark Cockerton, whose father, Stan, scored the game-winning goal in overtime for Team Canada against the U.S. in the 1978 championship game. McIntosh, 19 in red, former #1 draft pick in the NLL, the Indoor League. Now Cockerton, who started Virginia. There's Wesley Berg, all-time leading scorer at Denver. Cockerton over to Dixon. Good pick that time by McIntosh. Dixon shooting wide, but there to back up is Jeff Teet.
That's an astute call by you, Anish, because it was a great seal. When you talk about setting good picks, they're done fast and strong with a solid base. And gave Dixon an edge to turn the corner.
Durkin's being very physical, 51 in white. McIntosh now. He's got a goal today for Canada. Canadians have never led. Cockerton against the short stick. Will Hawes. Berg too high.
Okay, now you're in the danger zone defensively here as this possession goes up past a minute and a half. Typically, a defense will get very, very condensed. Their splits will shrink as guys get tired.
Here comes Berg against Jake Bernhardt. Now Teat picked up by Jake's brother Jesse. Josh Byrne, MLL Rookie of the Year a season ago. McIntosh forced to retreat, the U.S. holding. 2 minutes to go in this first half. The United States with a 6-4 lead on Canada. Rematch of the 2014 gold medal game, which Canada won. And the U.S. forces a turnover. There's the outlet by Galloway. Intercepted. Byrne lost his helmet. He's got to run off the field. And we get a whistle.
Galloway threw a buddy pass. Byrne nearly got decapitated.
You cannot play without equipment.
He never lost possession. Are you kidding me?
Kark able to figure out what they decided there?
It looks like it's going to stay Canada's ball. They blew the whistle, but he still had the possession. But you know what that play basically does for me? Anyone who thinks this sport is soft or it's about lax bros, tell Josh Byrne that.
A timeout by the U.S. 1:41 to go. In 2014, the U.S. and Canada met in the gold medal game. In fact, these two have played in the championship in the last 5 World Games. This is the 13th edition of the World Championships. The U.S. and Canada are the only teams to have won gold. And Canada, in a slow-paced game that involved a lot of ball control, behind a stellar effort by goalie Dylan Ward.
Yeah, great shooting by Curtis Dixon, and that save right there. Absolute thievery in the Mile High City. And Dylan Ward, MVP. Curtis Dixon had a giant game. U.S. beat him in pool play. Canada made the adjustments. Canada peaked. And I think that's the challenge for both of these teams here tonight. You know, you want to play well, you want to win, but you got to have more. Okay, this can't be your best effort. You've got to peak on Saturday, July 21st on ESPN2 if you want to take home the gold.
Because the safe bet is these two will play again in the gold medal game. That has been the theme of these World Championships. 13th edition, 8 times in the previous 12. It's been Canada and the U.S. playing in the final, including the last 5. And the Canadians have won 2 of the last 3. What have they figured out, at least of late, after the U.S. had that great run of, what, 6 in a row, Kark?
Look, this Canadian national team is a force to be reckoned with for the long term. You see Matt Brown there, a staple of the offense. It's because now you see the influx of all these box indoor lacrosse players now playing field. Field is a part of their lacrosse upbringing. For example, Dan Teat, you mentioned him earlier, Jeff's dad. He played 15 years in the indoor professional league. He never touched the outdoor field. His son started playing when he was in like the middle school age, the outdoor. He played indoor lacrosse since he started walking, but they're acclimating to this outdoor game more than ever. And they have the stick skills and all of those little nuances of like basketball because they're playing in tight quarters. So this ride that the Canadians are on, 2 of the last 3, they're going to be a force.
And their field experience shows up on the defensive end of the ball. Remember, in indoor, guys don't use long poles.
Great point.
And goaltending and defense was always the issue for Team Canada. But now they got guys like Brody Merrill and Gilray and Reese, who are high-level Division I successful defenders.
1:15 to go in the first half. For those of you who are just joining us and may have watched France beat Croatia in the World Cup final, it's the U.S. and Canada, a rematch of the gold medal game from 2014. This is only pool play. There's a good chance these two meet again. But the Americans and the Canadians have been top two in international lacrosse for a long time. 50 seconds to go. Canada looking to close to within one before halftime. Now Jeff Teague, the rising junior at Cornell. And we get a stall warning on Canada. There's no shot clock. So that just means Canada has to keep it in the box. See that restraining line near the top of your screen. "20 seconds to go." We'll hear from John Danowski before we head to halftime, the U.S. head coach. Then McIntosh, less than 10 seconds. McIntosh, skip pass. Dodged by Cockerton, shoots wide. Made the initial move, just couldn't finish. Wow, that takes us to halftime with Team USA holding a 2-goal lead.
Creative shot by Cockerton as he's running down the alley. It was kind of like a backhand with a little twister action.
Rob Pennell, a goal and an assist. Paul Rabel had a helper. Joel White, a long pole goal, and Ryland Reese, 2 points for Team Canada as a pole as we go down to Chris Cotter.
Bob, thanks, Anish, here with Coach Danowski. A physical, emotional first half. How do you think your team's handling it?
I tell you what, I'm really impressed with both teams. Canadian kids are tough and highly skilled and really well coached. I think our guys have tried to meet some of the physicality and it's just fun. It's a fun lacrosse game for a Sunday night.
On the offensive end, it seems like both teams are having a hard time getting in close to the cage. You had success when guys like Wolf and Pennell were attacking, and even Danowski up in front.
You know what? I mean, both teams. Nobody's grudging an inch here. Everybody is holding steady, and as you can really see that the game is going to be won and lost in both offense and defensive boxes.
Yeah, tell me about Galloway's performance there in the first half.
John has been terrific. I think he'd like that one pass back right there after that long possession, but otherwise he's been terrific. Giving up a 2-man goal and a couple of goals there in transition. I think we've given up 1 goal in the box, 6-on-6, and certainly we've got to get better because they're going to give us their best here in the second half.
All right, thanks, Coach. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you.
All right, Anish.
Chris, thank you. Your score at halftime. Team USA 6, Team Canada 4. We still have 40 minutes of lacrosse to play before this is settled. Halftime, next. Second half about to get underway. Team USA leading Canada by 2. Canada beat the United States in the gold medal game in 2 of the last 3 World Championships, including 2014. Nish Shroff alongside Quint Kesnick. Physical first half. What jumped out to you?
Well, both teams trying to make an impression. But what really stood out to me is Team USA's defense, holding Canada to 1 half-field goal. When you think about the Canadian goals, 2 transition goals, 1 extra man goal, and then only 1 goal in the 6-on-6. So that's a big deal for Joe Amplo, the defensive coordinator, John Danowski, and the defensive group. They're handling picks extremely well. They're getting really solid goaltending from John Galloway, and they're winning that matchup.
Down to Kark. Paul, what did you take away from the first 40 minutes?
For me, the physicality jumped off the page and how hard these guys were fighting. And you thought like the U.S. was pulling away a little bit in that second quarter, but you almost feel like the Canadian team is kind of where they want to be because they scored 4 goals. They're only down 2, and they haven't gotten into their base sets at all offensively. And this does not look like a typical Canada offense with the movement and the picks and the 2-man game. So, look, I know they're holding back a lot. Both teams are because they don't want to show all their cards. But if Canada can get into somewhat of their typical groove, we're going to have a total dogfight down to the last minute.
We go to the face-off thanks to begin quarter number 3. Trevor Baptiste graduated Denver as the NCAA Division I all-time leader in face-off win percentage. And Jeff Snyder for Canada standing on the other side of the dot. Snyder has won 2 gold medals with Canada. And a face-off violation on Baptiste, so Canada has it to begin quarter number 3. 20 minutes, running clocks in each of the quarters. Once we get to the 3-minute mark of the fourth quarter, then the clock will stop when the ball goes out of bounds.
We saw a face-off violation last night after the Canadian win over Scotland. Jeff told me, you know, the biggest challenge are these officials in that they come from different parts of the world. Their cadence varies. Their execution of the face-off is different. Plus, you got heat, which bends these lacrosse sticks and makes them very bendy. And so he says the unpredictability of the World Championships is you never know what the next face-off is going to be like.
And we've seen the way the face-offs have been officiated. It's varied, as you said, depending on
it's the Wild
who's calling
West.
the game.
It is the Wild West compared to the college, which is really regulated, standardized, and very consistent.
Jeff Teat now for Team Canada. Ian McKay out of Vermont. Catamounts won a school record of 12 games in 2018. Will Hawes tried to whip it away from McKay. And now Kevin Crowley, all-time leading scorer at Stony Brook. McKay against Will Hawes. Hawes, a two-time national champion at Duke. We get a stall warning on Canada, and they have to keep it in the attack box now. Jeremy Noble. Second stall warning we've seen today. Noble isolates the short stick, Will Hawes. Hawes trying to push him toward the boundary. Noble slips, able to control. Now Jeff Teat, no shot clock again, just a stall warning. Got to keep it in the box, and it's a wider field, which helps. Teat. Dislodged. Flag down. Another flag down, starting to get chippy. Tensions flaring, a third flag is thrown.
And it's going to be 2 against the U.S. and then 1 retaliation against Team Canada. It'll be a hold, and then Unterstein came in, 33 white, delivered a high hit that was late. But then somebody from Team Canada got the last laugh. Again, here's the hold. Unterstein trail check, free hand, easy call. But now that right there is one. And then left to right in your screen right there, you're going to get another one, that hands up. So my guess is 2 against USA and 1 against Canada.
Yeah, Teat was definitely in the mix there, 51 in red. He was held, and then after the whistle, took a check, and he wasn't backing down, though. Jeff Teat's not a big dude, but he's played box lacrosse his whole life, and rule number 1, don't back down. Protect yourself, and never, ever let someone get the best of you.
Oh, in the VIP tent, there is Ohad with my daughter. Ohad is our security detail, and that makes me feel safe.
We allowed to show him?
Ohad came through
he's
for
a stealthy. He's a stealthy.
There he is.
Paul Carcaterra. There is Ohad. He's done such a great job.
Yes, he has.
Getting us from place to place.
He's our MVP.
She's adorable. She is absolutely adorable. Athena Schroff. Looking at you, I don't know how that baby is related to you.
She's waving too.
There's your wife, who's a beauty too, behind Ohad, and then there's you. That's Beauty and the Beast times 2.
She has a great temperament, and she's a better swimmer than Daddy.
Incredible. All this is true. I don't even have a comeback. Ohad bailed out her friend Paul Shekels Carcaterra on the sideline. Kark had an incident with a money exchanger, and Kark, I think you've learned your lesson. Once you exchange dollars for shekels, don't ever do it again, because when you did it the second time, the guy at the money exchange place wasn't too happy, and you had to call on Ohad.
Look, all I wanted to do was trade a couple bucks for a couple shekels. So I dropped the 50 to begin with. He gave me some shekels back, and I had another 20 in my pocket. So I wanted to get some more shekels, and he wasn't having it. He flipped out, and I walked away.
2 receipts.
You ran away and nearly got hit by a car running away.
I want to make it home in one piece, okay? I'm not looking for any crazy stuff.
You don't like getting beat, A3s?
Kark, are you able to make sense of the carnage down on the field?
Yes, it's 5-on-5. It's 5-on-5 for 30 seconds. And then it will be a man advantage for Team USA. Will become 6-on-5 for 30 seconds.
Wow, I didn't see it that way. I thought there should be 2 against the U.S., the hold, and then the high hit, and 1 against Canada.
So look for the U.S. to hold, because eventually after this 5-on-5, they will be extra man for 30 seconds.
Paul Rabel over to Ryan Brown. Brown with a missile!
Hammer time for Brown from about 15 yards. We've been talking about Ryan's ability to absolutely shoot the lacrosse ball to where goalies can't track it. He's got gorgeous form that starts with his feet, his hips, his shoulders. Look at the torque and the full follow-through. Turn and rake. Nobody can hang with Ryan Brown.
Nobody in the history of the sport, if you factor in that he does it with his right and left hand equally. This guy can shoot close to 100, if not more than 100 miles per hour with both hands. We saw him in the Iroquois game Thursday night. We saw in Australia 3 times with lasers with the left. That was his right, his strong hand.
Second goal of the game for Brown, who is second all-time in goals at Johns Hopkins behind Terry Reardon. Michael Earhart. And the U.S. will set up shop again.
It was Earhart again, 28 and white, the Maryland grad. As I said, out of Chaminade, Long Island, 6'5", 220, but he can run like the wind.
Covers so much space. And Quint, I know you played your freshman year at Johns Hopkins with Steve Mitchell, who was one of those big space eaters too. He's an all-world defender in 1990 for Team USA. These guys just, if they are beat, they recover because of those long strides better than anyone.
Yeah, the long pole position, though, now, you know, that was the trend, the tall and rangy, but we've seen some undersized guys like a John Sexton in Notre Dame. You know, playmakers in this sport come in all shapes and sizes, and to me, that's the beauty of the game of lacrosse.
Here's Snyder. And a flag coming against Canada. Pennell. Shot a little too high.
Kark, you get the sense that these officials now are going to be calling this pretty tight?
I think so, because of the first half, the jawing, and then to start off the third quarter, that whole Teed incident, they don't want to let it get out of control. They're definitely going to call it tight.
U.S. man up again. Ned Crotty to Schreiber. Here's Ryan Brown. Marcus Holman has been the man-up specialist for the U.S. Holman is 1-1. Schreiber to Paul Rabel. Couple of assists. That one's picked off. Out of the air, it's Jason Noble. And the former Denver Pioneer. Chased down by Rabel.
Hello.
And gets it to the shorty Latrell Harris, a rising sophomore at Brock, a school up in Canada. We're at the Wingate Institute in Netanya, Israel. This place opened up in 1957. It's the host facility to a number of Israeli national teams, as well as functioning as a military training base. A training ground for soldiers, for fitness and hand-to-hand combat. Krav Maga.
Some adjustments Team Canada shows now in their half-field offense. As I said during our break, they only have one 6-on-6 settled goal in this game.
The U.S. defense has been in lockdown mode and half-field sets. That was a good look that time by Berg. Teet is there to recover. And Canada, again, back to work in the 6-on-6. Berg sets the pick. Crowley against Fletcher, the former Loyola Greyhound. Crowley rolls inside, falls to the ground. Loose ball, far sideline. Comes back to Canada. Ben McIntosh. Trey LeClaire now. Jeff Tate. Upper left corner. 7-5.
Have 151. Have a corner. And I love how he lulls the defense to sleep when he first catches this ball. But this is Wesley Berg just selling out with this amazing scoot of a grounder. Goes then upfield, and watch Teat. Teat lulls it like he's going to be a feeder, and then at the last second, those wrists, which are like firecrackers I talked about in the open, he just slings. Look at that, man. Talk about aggression. Jeez, these guys do not like each other. But what I loved about Teat, as he stayed on that left goal line extended area, as a feeder it looked like, and then just boom.
I think he knew he had the shot when he caught it, so that was in his back pocket. He was looking for a cutter for a layup. What stands out there, caught the ground ball play by Berg, but the ball reversal from the far side of the field to the near.
Teat with a great behind the back pass to Reese. He's one of the youngest players on the field, but Jeff Teat is also one of the best players on the field.
They think he will be one of the greatest Canadian players of all time. And when you think of that, you think of John Tavares, who's the all-time leading scorer in indoor professional. Gary and Paul Gate, Tom Marachek. This is the type of guy, because he was exposed to the field game early. He's going to be in the mix for a Tewaaraton Trophy. He's got 2 more years. There's potential if he's very aggressive with his stats and they keep him in games and they find ways to evade the shutoff that plagued him late in the season point-wise. Lyle Thompson's 400 points not out of the question.
Well, if he gets shut off.
Now that's going to be the challenge for the coaching staff. You know, they struggled with that, quite frankly, in the NCAA tournament late in the season. But they've got an off-season to adjust, and you would assume they would. Because right now, on a field with the best players in the world, Jeff Teat is more than holding his own. And Quint, as we get a stall warning on Canada, how much better does this experience make Jeff Teat when he goes to Ithaca in the fall?
Oh, leaps and bounds. You know, he's playing against a man. He's around the Canadian leadership. The guys like Brody Merrill and Jeff Snyder. He's listening, he's learning, he's being coached. He'll improve dramatically from this experience as a leader.
Noble against Durkin. Skips one to Teat. And just as we see his praises, unable to come down with that one. And that's out of the box. So with the stall warning on, it goes as a turnover. It'll be U.S.
Team
ball.
Canada wanted a deflection here.
Well, I think that's what they're debating. Was it deflected?
Jeff Teat does not miss a pass that wasn't deflected.
That's what the officials will discuss. We've got an official timeout, 9:36 to go. A close one in Netanya, Israel.
The 2018 FIL World Lacrosse Championship is brought to you by Cascade Lacrosse, the #1 helmet in lacrosse. Cascade Lacrosse, a passion to protect. Honigs. Visit us at honigs.com to check out how we take every sport to the next level. And Trusted Choice Independent Insurance Agents. Protect what matters most. Go to trustedchoice.com to find a local agent today.
There have been 12 previous World Lacrosse Championships, and the U.S. and Canada have met in the championship game 8 times, including the last 5. And Jeff Teat, the last 2 goals for Canada, as the Leafs have closed to within 2. He just finished his sophomore year at Cornell, and we were talking about it before going to break, Quint. With the numbers he's put up so far in this tournament, the way he's played against the U.S. tonight, he's one of the best players in the world right now, despite being a rising junior.
Absolutely. I think his mind is as good or better than these adult players.
Wow.
His biggest issue going forward now is going to be the weight room, because especially in indoor, and now as he's a targeted player, you know, he doesn't have to get giant, but you got to get strong so you can get freight trained into the boards or on the ground or cross-checked in the neck, and you're not going to get injured. So getting stronger is imperative. And he comes back to a Cornell program. Quite honestly, I think they're a top 5 team next year. They have a great team returning.
Are we facing off here?
We are.
We are facing off. Clark, they were trying to figure out before we went to break.
Young fans don't see this anymore.
Yeah.
This used to happen all the time.
Yeah, so FIL rules. There was an inadvertent whistle. So
the ball was deflected.
Yeah, so
ball was deflected.
Inadvertent whistle, though. So instead of an alternative possession or anything that we're used to in the States, FIL rules, it is a reface. However, if Canada wins this reface, they have to keep it in the box because there's a stall warning right before the break.
Thank you, Paul, for the clarification.
Back to the future with these rules, huh?
It is. It's a throwback. Snyder and Baptiste.
You see the players, everyone's 10 yards away because obviously they're not on the line.
And Unterstein picks up the loose ball for the U.S. Assistant coach at Hofstra after an All-American career with the Pride. Feels like it's been a while since we've seen the U.S. with the ball.
Yeah, Ryan Brown, the last goal scorer from Rabel.
Rabel setting the pick there for Schreiber, who's now matched up on a shorty. Rabel going low. Ward is right there. Outlet pass to Zach Currier, the former Princeton standout, one of the best two-way middies in the world. Currier rips it and scores. That started with the save by Ward, and Currier finishes.
A bad shot is equivalent to a turnover. Not only does Dylan Ward make this stop, but Canada is out and running. Watch Rabel telegraph this. Low to low, no change of level. Ward's not buying it. Nice rebound control, the aggressive outlet, and Canada is off to the races.
The most versatile midfielder for the Canadians, hands down, is Zach Currier. I thought it was the biggest joke in college lacrosse in 2017 when he was not a first-team All-American. He faced off, he played wings, he played defense. He had over 30 assists on the season for a midfielder. He scored a ton of goals. He did everything for Princeton. I just love his game. He's such a throwback.
You ready for this, Clark? His numbers from his senior year. 24 goals, 34 assists, 130 ground balls, 21 caused turnovers, and he won 56% of his draws at the face-off X.
Those 21 caused turnovers are for, like, elite shutdown defenders. Robbery.
He is the lacrosse equivalent of Da Vinci, a Renaissance man. And he never came off the field either. Nicknamed Spike at Princeton. Studied structural engineering there.
Yeah, he uses that degree right now, and he's working on the warp lacrosse stick in Michigan. And you know, the product development with the warp and the pocket, you know, where it's going, what doing focus groups, adjustments. Super smart kid.
This is the closest Canada has been since it was 2-1. Canadians have never led. U.S. trying to put a little more distance. Rob Pinnell has his man hung up. Graham Hasse. Pinnell, and that one shot by Wolf, saved by Ward. Brown on the ride, knocked it away. Dylan Ward able to recover. Now a across the restraining line. He'll play it back. Out of bounds. This is dangerous territory for the Canadians. Loose ball near the cage. And Brody Merrill now has it for Team Canada. Here's Tyson Bell.
Efficient offense by Team USA. Tell you, anytime that Pennell and Wolf have been involved, good things have happened. For whatever reason, Seth Tierney, the OC for the Stars and Stripes, it's kept the ball up top. Maybe that's the adjustment that they're holding if there is a rematch between these two teams.
And Kark, we have not seen much of the transition game from the U.S. either.
No, and I was going to add just before how slick this track is. So some of these real speedsters and quick guys like Jordan Wolf and Rob Pennell is known to plant a foot on separation.
Why is it slick?
Good question. It doesn't rain in Israel in the summer, but the grass and the surface is so hard that these spikes, you might be better off with a turf shoe, to be quite honest with you.
Jeff Teat. McIntosh. Defended well by Will Hawes. Mark Matthews. Now Teat working against Jesse Bernhardt. Standout at Maryland. And an assistant coach now for the Terps under John Tillman. Here's Wesley Berg. Only Gary Gait has scored more goals in the NCAA tournament. Stall warning on Team Canada.
With how wide this restraining box is, I don't think a stall warning is a big deal for the offense. It's not hard to keep it in.
No shot clock. Just have to stay in the attack box, and Canada unable to do so. The defense by Joel White.
I don't think he knew.
Wesley Berg probably never played. He's so young. He never played in the era of right. Keep it in.
Keep it in. What is that? Keep it in. Here's Matt Danowski. Paul Rabel, head of steam. Ryan Brown, bingo! Hat trick for Brown, Rabel's third assist.
Rabel has emerged over the years as an elite passer. So yeah, maybe he's not scoring the goals that he used to, but his vision and his ability to feel defensive pressure has become off the charts. Head always up. The quick feed inside to Brown, who's doing everything from a scoring standpoint, Quint.
Yeah, this goes back to the Wesley Berg turnover. It couldn't come at a worse spot on the field. That's the top of the zone, so it leads to a U.S. run out and a faulty substitution or guys not getting back in the hole, and all of a sudden Team USA has the numbers game. Rabel picks up his third assist.
And to what you said before the U.S. played its very first game, if Ryan Brown scores a lot of goals in this tournament, that's a good thing for the U.S. If he's eating, it's the product of the offense.
He's going to be the tail end of good offensive execution. You know, this team has bought into structure and discipline, and then from that, you're going to start to see some wonderful playmaking for the rest of the week.
This has been a dogfight for the better part of 3 quarters. Both teams have been physical.
Great ground
There's
ball
an
play.
intensity to the game.
Every ground ball.
And both of these teams want to beat each other. For the U.S. to try to get back the gold, which they last won in 2010 when Paul Rabel was the MVP for Team USA.
Nothing better than watching world-class elite players compete for ground balls.
You know, Quint, the PA that's on the field here, public address announcer, he's an Israeli native and he's getting acclimated to lacrosse. He's behind me. After that great ground ball, he told the crowd and they cheered, "I love this game."
I tell you what, for one of these games, we're going to mic up the PA.
He's unbelievable. His color is great.
Yeah, we've got to listen to him for a good 2-3 minutes because that is entertainment in itself.
Yeah, it's not Canada with the shot. It's like, wow, bullet.
the very first game at Netanya Stadium between Jamaica and Israel. He was getting the Israeli crowd involved. Here's Zach Currier now, backpedaling. Earhart got his stick on it. Knocks it out of bounds. It stays with Canada with 1:06 to go.
You can watch that Israeli team tomorrow on ESPNU as they play the Philippines. Having a strong tournament, still undefeated.
Dan Morris, the Maryland goalie, the goalie for the Philippines.
Max Sebald, Ari Sussman playing for Team Israel.
Israel's a team that has a chance to potentially play for a bronze medal. "35 seconds to go. Canada has never led. Crowley. Here's T. He's got a couple of goals. Now the stall warning. Got to keep it in. Ian McKay against the short stick Unterstein. 10 seconds. McKay now against Hawes. No angle. Galloway turns it away. 3 seconds. Earhart vacuums. And quarter number 3 comes to an end. The U.S. led by 2 at halftime. Both teams trade a pair of goals in that third quarter. We're in for a great finish here in Israel. The United States and Canada in a rematch of the 2014 gold medal game. This one, a 2-goal game after 3.
And the Cavs of Kark.
Back in Netanya, 8-6. Team USA leading Canada as we head to the fourth quarter. Chris Cotter, Paul Carcaterra down here on the field. We're seeing a little bit of everything. The random face-off over here, international rules. Every ground ball is a scrum. It's a battle. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I love these rules. It throws everything up in smoke. But regardless, this is an interesting fourth quarter because if you're both head coaches, you ask yourselves, how much do we want to show? We can play these guys most likely in the gold medal game on Saturday on ESPN2. But the bottom line is this. The attack are having a lot of trouble generating offense. I think the fourth quarter will be determined by midfield play.
And as we look at the game summary, Paul, the flip side of that is the effort. Because a coach could tell a player or a team, hey, let's dial it back a little bit. But these guys are putting forth 100% effort, every single one of them, every time they go on the field.
The intensity is real. And you see Ryan Brown with the 3 goals off ball. But I think from a one-on-one generating the offense standpoint, we really haven't seen too much from either attack. Whose midfield will disrupt the opposing team's defensive midfield group?
Jake Withers and Greg Gorenlian at the face-off decks to begin quarter number 4. And what should be a great finish between the 2 best teams in the world. Gorenlian trying to play it back, turns it over. And Joel White vacuums for Team USA, gets it over to Fletcher. Joe Fletcher helped Loyola to that championship in 2012. 3-time MLL All-Star who works now as a financial analyst. Tommy Schreiber. Now Jordan Wolf. You love that tandem at attack of Wolf and Pinnell Quint.
I do, because of their explosiveness and their quickness. And very few defenses in this tournament are going to have 2 cover defenders who can stand hip to hip with the speed.
Here comes Wolf. And that one is saved by Ward. On the rebound, Schreiber. Another save by Ward.
I mean, Wolf at times looks like he's shot out of a cannon. He just accelerates in a 10-yard window faster than any player that I've seen. 31 in white.
And the lateral quickness, uncanny as well. A tough matchup for Graham Hossack, 4 in red. One of the top defenders in the NLL. Wolf to fellow Blue Devil Matt Danowski. Danowski against the short stick Zach Currier. Danowski, nice move. Plays it back to the middle to Pinnell. Can't handle the pass. And the U.S. will reset with Rabel. Wolf again against Hasek. Off the mark, Pinnell there.
It's good defense by Graham Hasek, 4 in red, the lefty.
Pinnell quick to the back of the cage. Defense now hung up. And Pinnell's patience here pays off. He found Ryan Brown earlier right on the doorstep for a goal. Now he's looking for Rabel. Could not connect. Transition opportunity for Canada. Ryland Reese, he's had a hand in a couple of goals. Flips it back. Courier. Tyson Bell. Fighting his way inside. Dixon. And Canada within 1.
Another transition goal. Rabel can't handle the ball on the cut. It leaks out. This is a classic 6-on-5. Courier sniffs it out. One more. Down low. Dixon gets underneath leverage. He's able to get his shoulders and hips inside the defender. The dive shot being legal. And he flies to the goal.
On to the face-off. You see Jeff Snyder out there. He's the leader, the emotional guy of this Canada team. If they're going to make a comeback, his intensity and his vision will be a big part of it. You also see him wearing number 18. That was the great Dave Huntley, who lost his life last summer and was so inspirational to all of these Canadian players. He's an All-American at Johns Hopkins, one of the first great Canadian outdoor players. And Snyder took 3 years of field lacrosse off, and Huntley asked him to think about a return. So he didn't only return, he's wearing his number, Quint.
Dave Huntley, player and coach for Team Canada, but more than that, as a Johns Hopkins alum and assistant coach at Calvert Hall in Baltimore, he's got a lot of connections and relationships playing in this tournament.
Trevor Baptiste winning the face-off. Our face-off battle between a couple of former Denver Pioneers. Baptiste, a recent graduate. Snyder, the class of '06. Backhanded shot by Pinnell, and the U.S. cushion back to 2.
You watch Pinnell in Major League Lacrosse. He's got this ability to make plays at goal line extended that are almost impossible to stop because of how unpredictable he is. In college and early on, he made the question mark his signature. Now he comes up that goal line extended. He's got the backhand, he's got the little back and forth shake, and he cashes in.
Second goal of the game for RP3, to Wharton Award winner in 2013, 3-time Ivy League Player of the Year. Left college as the all-time points leader in Division I before being surpassed by Lyle Thompson and then later Connor Field. So now Pinnell number 3 on the all-time list.
Signed with Quinnipiac as a rising senior, and then blew up both physically and up the recruiting ranks. Took a year at Deerfield that ended up at Cornell, but a classic example of a late bloomer.
Snyder wins that from Baptiste. And Canada with a timeout, 14:34 to go. Here in the fourth quarter, it's a 2-goal lead for the U.S. The Americans have led wire to wire. Randy Mearns, the head coach at Canada, spent almost 2 decades at Canisius. They'll take over at St. Bonaventure.
Going to be a fully funded program, 12.6 scholarships. Bringing in 33 freshmen in his first class. A bunch of walk-ons and 2 transfers. They'll start things up in September. They're in a league, St. Bonaventure is, and the school's goal is to compete, to be nationally relevant, like Richmond and Marquette have become. Talking face-off logistics and dynamics right now with the officials and Jake Withers, the Ohio State alum.
Yeah, you hear Jeff Snyder saying this isn't how you play the game. They're complaining that the Americans, when they face off, are checking with the ends of their sticks and their butt ends, not the head part. And the referees are saying as long as they check and hit the stick like any other check, they can use the butt end of their stick. Now, if they hit you in the knee and they hit you in the shoulder and they're not having any intent to go after the stick, then it's called a slash like any check.
Clark, for a point of reference for our viewers, how much more can you get away with facing off in this setting versus the MLL and NCAA?
Tenfold, to be realistically. I mean, look, Snyder, that face-off that he won, within 2 seconds would have been blown in Major League Lacrosse or college lacrosse because he had the ball the entire time before the timeout on the back of his stick. That could never happen in college lacrosse.
Jeff Snyder. He showed us the scars on one of his legs. He's torn his Achilles twice, and he's still playing pro lacrosse.
He fractured his trachea back in 2009. That's his windpipe. And was like back.
And he's still chirping.
It was like back in months.
Definition of animal. Have you seen his box lacrosse fights too? If you haven't,
Google those folks.
Google them, yeah, YouTube. You'll be amused. He absolutely destroys.
If you're 14 or older, Google them. If you're less, you got to wait.
When I saw him in the hotel, I said, Snyder, are you good for one over these 10, 12 days? He goes, no, not in this setting.
He's actually a wonderful person.
He is.
Off the field.
Absolutely.
He's a joy to be around. He really is. He's polite. He's a gentleman. On the field, he is. All bets off.
He snaps like shekels in a money exchange.
I knew that was coming. That was about as heated as I've seen Carr. He was upset. The money exchange guy was not nice to him. All he wanted was more shekels.
Just a shekel. Kid
like
that
Oliver
wants
Twist.
a shekel.
Can I have more? Westberg diving into the crease. That's legal, and that counts. And Canada again back to within one. They've never led. They try to get closer. The U.S. always seems to have an answer, but Canada again has made it a one-goal game.
Paul, earlier I talked about, where are the Canadian Dodgers? This U.S. team has struggled against the MLL All-Stars and early in this tournament against the Iroquois defending wing Dodgers. Tucker Durkin, 51 in white, is at X. He's behind the goal. He offers no support. Joe Fletcher's the adjacent defender on the other side. He offers no support. So you're left on an island. This U.S. team's got to figure out a better defensive strategy for wing Dodgers.
Bring the dive back. If that's not exciting, Jordan Wolf's first goal or Curtis Dixon's or Wesley Berg's there, bring the dive back.
Somebody lost the stick. It was Courier. The U.S. has it. Pennell, one dodge. Picked up by Brody Merrill. And now the U.S. will wait for its offensive personnel. They have been patient and content to play 6-on-6 against Canada. And Carr, you get the sense they just feel their offensive personnel matches up with Canada's half-field defense.
They do. There's a couple of reasons why. It's just you have a guy like Wolf, and you talk about his quickness. His strength is such an underrated aspect of his game. I mean, when he was at Duke, he squatted the most on the Duke lacrosse team. So you have Pennell and Wolf as attack alpha male Dodgers. There's not one of them on this team. There's two. So that opens up everything for the midfield.
This is Snyder. Now Pennell against his long stick in Noble. Pennell's got a couple of goals. Plays it back to Snyder. Nice one-handed grab by Brown. He still has it. Slips. We mentioned the slick field.
Chris Goddard did some due diligence, and he saw Team Uganda this morning. He said that overnight they put a lot of water on this field.
Stall warning against the United States. They've got to keep it in the box. John Hawes now against Courier. Hawes nearly slips. Guys are falling down. Snyder fell a minute ago. Pennell trying to shovel it. That one hits the carpet. Tyson Bell had it knocked loose by Snyder. Bell trips over Snyder. No flag down.
That should be a penalty. It's below the waist.
Canada with a chance to tie as we come up on the midway point of this fourth quarter. And a timeout by Randy Mearns. 10:50 to go. One more look. Snyder and Bell.
By definition, contact cannot be made below the waist. It's a close one.
Take it easy on him. Inside a mini stroke.
Tell you, at the collegiate level, that's a penalty 9.9 times out of 10.
Kark, if this is the intensity of the game between these two in pool play, if they meet again in the gold medal game, what kind of atmosphere, what kind of sideline intensity can we expect?
Well, it will be completely electric. It will be 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturday in the States. So that's...
No, 3 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. here.
10 a.m. local, I'm sorry. 3 a.m. Eastern in the morning. This game will be so legit that if you love lacrosse and you don't set your alarm, I question how much you love lacrosse.
I love it for the people in L.A., Kark, because they can watch it at midnight.
That's right.
Just stay up late.
Late night lax.
3 a.m. Look, back
Lax
home in
after
New York,
dark.
where I grew up, my mom would set the alarm for this one, and I would be thrilled to be eating Fruity Pebbles watching this game.
This should be a good one on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern time on ESPNU, 2 in the afternoon. The Iroquois against Canada. That is 9 o'clock local time. Kark and I will have the call for that one. And Quentin Cotter, you guys get to see Team Israel earlier in the day.
Yeah, against the Philippines. Israel, both Israel and Philippines undefeated. How it works coming out of those divisions, if they keep winning, they join the blue division bracket, and they can compete for the gold medal. So, you know, everyone's dream is to win the whole thing. A high world ranking is important, but we got two good ones tomorrow. Iroquois Nationals, Dahoga Nanticoke, a handful of Thompsons, a handful of Stotts. The aura, the tradition, the link to the past that they bring, a great crowd support and love of their program. And then Israel, the hometown favorites.
Let's see if Canada can tie this game. They have never led. The last time this game was tied, it was 0-0. Instead of turnover.
Going to a heavy diet now of wing dodges. They've gotten away from the two-man games in the last couple possessions.
The attack for the U.S., Holman, Pennell, and Wolf. Danowski, Schreiber, and Rabel, the middies. Matt Danowski against Latrell Harris, the short stick. Canada ball. And we get an official timeout, another hydration break. 9:29 to go in the fourth. Both of these teams and our ESPN crew have had a chance to visit the city of gold, Jerusalem. There is the famous Dome of the Rock. A passport through time, a passport through history. To 8, Team USA on top of Team Canada. This is still pool play in the blue division, which features the top 6 teams in the world. Our trusted choice play of the game, Wesley Berg, the former Denver Pioneer. Can we get the dive back into the college game?
We are ready to launch. Wesley Berg scored more than a handful of clutch goals while he was at Denver. I mean, late in the game when the score was close, there he always was. The righty, Bill Tierney's Pioneers. How many big games did he cap?
The most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament when Denver won it all in 2015. 39 career NCAA tournament goals. Only Gary Gait has more.
That's a nugget worth saying. Jeez, when you think about it, Gary Gait won 3 national titles. Syracuse as a sophomore, junior, and senior, 88 to 90. And then Quint, the year you won it in 87, I think he had that monster year as a freshman midfielder.
He did. He had 5 in the semis and their loss to Cornell.
And Berg has it now for Team Canada, looking for the equalizer. Mark Cockerton, son of the great Stan Cockerton. Another Canadian legend. Mark and Stan, more father and son goals than any other duo in NCAA history. There's McIntosh against Jake Bernhardt. McIntosh inside to Team. What a feed! What a finish! We're tied at 9.
Are you kidding me? The sixth sense of this cut is ridiculous. The awareness of the off-ball play. McIntosh has his eyes up and just finds the seam. The difficulty of this pass just through all those white shirts to who else? The little guy, Jeff Teat.
He's reading defenders. He's listening to their communication. He understands their slide and recovery patterns. So when Bernhardt steps out halfway, he's looking at Durkin on his left shoulder and saying, 51, you don't come down to cover me. I'm going to fill that space. He follows the slide.
Huge face-off. Grab ball picked up by Joel White. Plays it back to Galloway. Chased by Dixon. And now Galloway to White. Former teammates at Syracuse, won 2 national titles together. Team USA to set up the clear. Snyder into the attack box.
Everyone talks about how on defense, keep your head on a swivel. The same is true on offense. You play offense with your head on a swivel. You play offense with your mouth. You're talking as well.
Ned Crotty plays it back to Snyder. The pass behind him. Courier, the human Roomba. Canada with a chance to take its first lead. And here's Jeff Teat. The rising junior at Cornell with the ball in his cross in a 9-9 game. Canada looking for its first lead.
Slipping's a big deal. Let's watch how Canada handles this sub situation. Brody Merrill, 17 in red, is still on the field, being face guarded by Drew Snyder. Looks like Canada is going to elect to play a little 5-on-5 here. Play a little hangman with Merrill off to our left.
McIntosh. Merrill calling for it. Now Brody Merrill's going to run off. As will Snyder, and Canada has its offensive personnel in. Well, they still have number 7, Ryland Reese, out on the field. And now we've got an official timeout. They're checking Jeff Teat's helmet.
Smart play. Really smart play, Ned. Good job.
USA was able to sub Ned Crotty off during the stoppage and bring on Jake Bernhardt. Subtle advantage.
Cornhole follows our coverage from Israel of Team USA and Canada. Tied at 9 in Netanya. Right on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. Wesley Berg against Earhart. Now Byrne. Flag is down. A chance for the lead. McIntosh. Canada with its first lead of the game with 5 minutes to go in regulation.
McIntosh from Matthews, a play that started with a successful wing dodge. Here it is. Defense it's in motion. There's the double team. Matthews has got his guy hung up, and they fill the slot with a righty cut by McIntosh. Good team offense, and all of a sudden, the Canadians have perked up. Ben McIntosh has played a great game. Wesley Berg, Jeff Teague. Their half-field offense has gotten better each quarter.
In that replay you saw on the far right side of the screen, Josh Byrne initiated that wing dodge. He got absolutely crushed by Jesse Bernhardt. They threw the flag down, and if you recall in that first half, Byrne had his helmet knocked off not once but twice in this ball game now.
So the U.S. now will face off after the penalty. 5-on-6. Canada with a chance to tack on with the extra man. Ben McIntosh, second goal of the game, both assisted by Mark Matthews. Jeff Snyder wins the faceoff, flips it back for Ryland Reese.
That's a big-time win by Snyder, let me tell you. Not all faceoffs are created equal. You got a man up with a one-goal advantage with 5 minutes to go in the ball game, and you win it with ease. Tip the cap to Jeff Snyder, folks.
Westberg over to McIntosh. McIntosh has had a hand in the last 2 goals for Canada. Jeff Teague plays it to the wing, and Matthews. Back to Teague. Now Matthews, skip pass. One more to Berg. On the doorstep, Dixon, denied by Galloway.
Absolutely gorgeous passing. I mean, unbelievable. Given the international rules now, Anise, possessions are going to be limited.
No clearing clock. No shot clock. Will Hawes will try to clear for the U.S. We're back to even strength. The U.S. staring at a deficit for the first time all evening. Canada on a 6-2 run. Paul Rabel, 3 assists tonight. Now Tom Schreiber, the Princeton great. To Rob Purnell, RP3. Does he go to the question mark dodge here? He tried to, gets hit in the face by Isaac. Flag coming against Canada. Danowski! Top shot! Tied at 10!
Wow. Matt Danowski. The veteran guy who could play so many different roles. You saw him get underneath with a lefty and tight goal in the first quarter. Now that is just complete smoke. Sets his feet, lets it rip.
Change of levels. Ward has got to respect the low carriage of the cross, and as a goalie you drop the body down, you bend your knees, your top hand may come down just a little. Next thing you know, that ball's going right over your head. Danowski, change of level.
A timeout by John Danowski, Matt's father and the head coach of Team USA. We saw a couple of bloodbaths yesterday. The U.S. beat Australia 19-1. Canada steamrolled Scotland 22-3. Boy, this gets your skin tingling, doesn't it? 10-10 U.S.-Canada rematch of the gold medal game from 4 years ago with 3 minutes to go in regulation. If you're just joining us, Canada trailed 9-7. They hadn't led all game, then ripped off 3 straight. It started with the dive goal by Westberg. It's legal to dive in the crease in international play. And then McIntosh, a helper, and then he got to eat.
High wing dodge this time to the middle, and Jeff Teague, 51 in red, just with that innate sense of where is his defender? Why is he leaving me? I got to fill a seam, flash my stick. McIntosh once again from Mark Matthews, 10-9 with 5:03 to go in the game.
And then the U.S., the answer with a penalty coming, Matt Danowski. Low to high, a little penthouse pimento, and the U.S. gets even at 10.
Pinnell tied up, doesn't lose his cool. Rabel picks up another assist, his 4th.
Look at the blue division standings, the U.S. and Canada, both 2-0. The Iroquois 1-1. The Iroquois will play Team Canada tomorrow. Australia's got to win. England has got to win. Scotland, this is the first time for the Scots in the blue division. They moved up after a strong finish in Denver 4 years ago. 0-3, looking for that first win.
Yeah, the cool thing about this tournament, 46 nations. The other divisions will have an opportunity to win and play up. So a team like Ireland or Israel or Puerto Rico or the Philippines still very much in the hunt.
And those teams have a ton of good players, a ton of players who you're familiar with from the NCAA level. JT Giles Harris of Duke plays for Team Puerto Rico. You've got Dan Morris, the great goalie from Maryland, in the cage for the Philippines.
The Israeli team loaded with former collegiate players who many have relocated here to Ireland through the Birthright program. They're continuing to grow programs here in Netanya and Tel Aviv. Guys like
Max
Sebald, Ari Sussman.
Although Sebald hasn't relocated here, he's on Team Israel. They've got a few. 3 minutes to go. The United States with the extra man facing off 6-on-5. Face-off won by Gurenlian and a timeout by John Danowski.
Clock management by coaches now with these man-up face-offs. So critical. So instead of Gurenlian winning that face-off, flipping it to a teammate, and then running off the field, in essence losing 15 to 20 seconds, the immediate win and timeout now saves you time on the man-up. So that's strong coaching from John Danowski and his staff. He's assisted by Joe Amplo of Marquette on the defensive side, and Seth Tierney from Hofstra is his OC.
Clark down on the field. Paul, what do you get? What kind of sense do you get from the United States sideline?
Well, before we get into that, how impressive are these two KG veterans at the face-off X? Gurenlian just beat the young guy Withers. The face-off before that was Jeff Snyder, the 36-year-old, beat Trevor Baptiste, the winningest face-off man in college lacrosse history, who just graduated. So, Quinn, you mentioned not all face-offs created equally. You see the calmness of these veterans making the plays. But in the U.S. home and on their sideline all game long, there's a calmness. I feel like the Canadian sideline is much more amped up, where the calm presence of the U.S. team led by Coach John Danowski, I know they know this game is important, but it's all about Saturday.
Greg Gurenlian, the Grays peeking through. Got the eye black. Grizzled veteran. You think this doesn't mean anything to him?
But look for midfield initiation also out of U.S. That's been a common theme. Rabel's got the 4 assists. He hasn't been a goal scorer, but the facilitating from this group has been really, really impressive. It's allowed guys like Ryan Brown to score 3 goals, and that last high heat by Matt Danowski. So the midfield initiation could be a change of pace. You know, you have the guys behind the cage and Wolf and Pinnell, but so much pressure and attention to them, it gives those midfielders an opportunity to create.
Be interested to see what their mindset is in terms of how fast do we attack here.
Well, you've got the extra man. That's not going to last forever.
So they got to go right away. You can't throw it around the outside too long.
Rob Pinnell. Over to Schreiber. Plays it back to Pinnell. Now Brown on the wing. Rabel. He's been dangerous with the skip. Schreiber and Brown play catch. Rabel moving it quickly. Rabel gets it back. Schreiber up top, looking for Holman inside. Ball loose. Canada's got it.
tossing the ball around and then getting nothing accomplished. It was almost like they're stalling and holding for the last shot.
Well, it's 6-on-6 now, Clark, and with a minute 40 and the change to go, no shot clock. Is this a one-shot possession for the U.S.? Do you take this down until the very end of regulation?
Good offense will always have smart decisions. With Wolf behind the cage, someone's going to have to sneak behind and back up. But this is the matchup. This kid has ice in his veins. You saw him do it at Duke, winning the 2 national titles. I think a one-on-one opportunity for Wolf behind, but you have to have the backup. You don't want Canada having another possession here. Attack, but have the backup.
Rabel slips.
He's been willing to defer, and after some bad shooting luck early in this game, he's finished up with authority. He's got 4 assists. High wing dives, left-handed. Both players slip, but he's able to get his edge. And the double team is a tad late. Watch, Paul slips, but so does the defender. He rolls back. There's no one there defensively. They can't predict that their teammate's going to lose his edge. And Rabel finds the back of the net, straight overhand.
The hard plant is what did it. That's what created Tyson Bell to slip.
I was just about to give the overtime rules before Rabel scored. We don't go to sudden death right away. 2 4-minute periods, and then it's sudden victory. The U.S. wins the face-off. Garellian all the way. Off the mark. Not sure why he shot it there. But the U.S. there for the backup. They've got it with 1:01 to go. Under 3 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. The clock does stop on a dead ball and on a ball that goes out of bounds.
And we're having a stick check against face-off man Greg Garellian.
This is big.
They have grabbed his stick. Always great theater, Anish. Always great theater when U.S. and Canada square off.
Clark, you're down there. What are they checking for?
They can check everything right now. Check the width of the stick, the pocket, the length. Call for a stick check. They throw everything out.
Hey, Brody, I want
Canada asked for that stick check, and Quint, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like this move by Canada because for some reason, if they end up getting an extra man, winning this game, the blood for Saturday will be off the charts.
You are very literally poking the beast.
Oh, that's an issue, my friends. That is an illegal stick. You're facing off all night on a warm and humid night. Your stick is going to bend. But face-off men, they have softballs on the sideline that they jam into their stick to keep them in regulation.
Is this something that you think Canada waited on for the right moment?
Well, absolutely. I mean, Randy Mearns and staff know they got the ace up the sleeve, and the question is, the ball must freely leave the stick when turned upside down. So by definition, that stick is pinched. It's too narrow. It's up to Greg during the wear and tear of this game to widen that stick to specifications, okay? A stick violation by an individual, in my eyes, is the most selfish penalty in lacrosse. You've got to protect your team by making sure your equipment is legal.
Instead, it's a man-up opportunity for the Canadians who can tie it here. Dixon. Now Berg. Looking for Teague. Good look off the mark. Berg to Dixon. It's a 3-minute penalty. That That one is wide. McIntosh there for the backup. 23 seconds to go. Canada trying to force overtime. McIntosh. Dixon.